Okay, so today we're going to examine the question, is wrestling useful in a self-defense situation? I will start this presentation by explaining to you guys that wrestling is the toughest sport on the planet, by far. Anyone that's practiced wrestling will agree with me. I've practiced a number of sports and some combat sports, a bit of boxing, a bit of judo, and some jiu-jitsu, and wrestling is by far tougher than all of them. It definitely prepares you for the intensity and chaos of a real fight, particularly if you have competed. Real fights are chaotic and are fought at a very, very fast pace, and wrestling definitely reflects that. Anyone that's fought a wrestler will completely understand what I'm saying. When you're being picked up and thrown around by a wrestler, it is not fun. It is extremely painful, and it's not something I would recommend. You have to know that the average person has no idea how to even land correctly. So when they get thrown, it will do a lot of damage to them, and they can even break limbs. I've seen even wrestlers who know how to fall correctly even break limbs in competition and in practice. So a normal person being exposed to this will be in a lot of trouble and pain, I can guarantee that. The throws are extremely brutal, and you can see a number of them here on display in this video. The style of wrestling that I practiced was freestyle wrestling, but the same applies for Greco-Roman or folk-style wrestling. If we look at self-defense situations, let's take a one-on-one situation in an enclosed space where the assailant doesn't have any weapons. Then wrestling is actually extremely useful. And a person who has no experience of grappling or wrestling, when faced against a wrestler, really has no chance. They don't know what to do. A lot of their natural instincts are just completely wrong, and the wrestler will take them down easily and completely dominate them and hold them there in place until law enforcement arrive. And that's a very, very key point, because from a legal perspective, you want to obviously protect yourself and stop the person from attacking you, but you don't want to do any needless damage to them. So wrestling allows you to take them down, hold them in place, and the police can come and take care of the rest. If we compare that with boxing, however, the boxer will maybe throw a few punches, maybe knock the person out. The person lands, hits their head badly. You don't know what's going to happen. You could hurt them a lot more than you actually intended to. And you have to explain that to a court, who probably won't be very impressed with what you did. There are situations where the person attacking you don't even want to hurt them. It could be a friend or a family member that's just being hysterical or maybe even drunk. So you just take them down and restrain them, and then no harm is done to them and everyone's safe. So in these situations, wrestling is great. If we look at the scenario of multiple opponents, wrestling's not as good. If you're facing 10 street thugs, for example, and they're all trying to punch and kick you, maybe even stab you or shoot you, then you don't want to be grappling with them. However, even in a street scenario, wrestling does have some use, as number one rule in a street fight is you want to stay on your feet and run away from the situation as quickly as you can. Wrestlers have the best takedown defense, and that therefore enables them to stay standing and get out of there. So in conclusion, I would say wrestling is a great sport to have. It's a great sport to practice, and it does have some use in a self-defense scenario.